Well, hi, everybody. We just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I am probably a familiar face to some of you out there. My name is Amanda, and I am part of our client relations team here at the Giants. Just wanted to start tonight by thanking you all for carving some time out and for being with us tonight for what is going to be just an absolutely fantastic evening with our broadcasters talking baseball. So we're really excited to get underway. I don't know about you, but I know I am desperately missing baseball. We are still awaiting decisions regarding the 2020 season from Major League Baseball. So I just wanted to take a moment tonight to assure you all that the moment we have some decisions from them, we will definitely reach out to all of you and we'll send you all of the details and all of your options regarding your 2020 season tickets. Thank you all for your patience and your understanding with us as we've been awaiting word from baseball. And please don't forget that your client relations rep is here to help. If you have any questions during this time, or if you're just in need of a distraction and you want to talk baseball, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We've actually been really lucky over these last few weeks to interact with a lot of you, and we have been touched and humbled by stories that we've been hearing from our season ticket members who are on the front lines of the fight against this virus. So many of you have put yourselves second and taken up the fight to keep the rest of us safe and healthy. I have the great joy of knowing some club level season ticket members, Lisa and Stephen Ingerson. They are both nurses on the front lines of this fight. We are so proud to have them as part of our Giants family, and we're so grateful for what they and their family are doing for all of us during this time. So a special thank you to the Ingersons and to all who have answered the call to stop this virus and keep us safe. And thank you to everyone tonight who's doing their part to slow the spread of COVID. Now, I think we could all use some great baseball talk with these familiar voices that I know we have been desperate to hear. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Dave Flemming.
Thank you, Amanda. And I think you all can recognize my broadcast colleagues who are here with me. Let me just say before we get started, because I did this last week with Gabe and with Farhan and with Larry, and it was great, and hopefully there's some repeat viewers, and I know we have a bigger audience tonight because we're streaming on YouTube. It's a little strange. The four of us will get used to it, I'm sure, quickly, but we can't see all of you. You all can see and hear us. We wish we could see all of you too. So we're talking to each other, but we're talking to you also. There is a Q&A function. We took some questions ahead of time. If you have something you want to ask the four of us, even during this live broadcast, I will periodically, if you see me leaning in and touching my screen, I'm trying to scroll through and get some questions so I can ask those to my friends here, and we'll have a little baseball talk. So anyway, that's out of the way. Hi, guys.
David.
David.
Hey, Dave.
Nice to see you.
Dave. You and I
Everybody's
are the only
looking
ones
good.
without facial hair.
Well,
Good.
I saw John's goatee look so good today that I shaved mine off because mine looked so pitiful in comparison.
Yeah. Well, you're going to find this hard to believe that when I grew mine the first 2 weeks,
Yeah.
it came in dark, not a gray hair in it. So
Huh.
it looked really awful. So I shaved it off.
You needed the gray.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did. But
Yeah,
Mike looks good. Mike always has one.
Yeah, I'm just too lazy to shave. But, I mean, usually by this time it's gone. I'm ready for the season. So this is the extended beard because of our current situation.
Is that a sweater you're wearing? Are you wearing a sweater?
I got a sweater.
Yeah.
It's a robe.
It's like a sweater robe.
Near my pajamas.
It's a robe. He just got out of the shower, for crying
That's
out loud.
exactly right.
It's 6 o'clock.
It's time, I mean, come on.
And Dave, can I say that that I'm going to make a blanket statement for all of us that when the season ends, we know how to kill 4 months or 5 months. We know how to do it because we've got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Super Bowl, Fan Fest. So once you figure out how you're going to kill 4 or 5 months, and we know how to do that, then we're ready. The problem is I don't know how to kill 8 or 7. So, I mean, this has been, I'm sure for you guys too, this has just been uncharted territory for me and for you guys. And look, we're all safe. We're in our homes, right? We got food to eat. But from the point of us and what we do for a living, this has been really difficult. It really has.
Well, every time we hear anything about the possibility of the season starting sometime later on with nobody in the stands, and there was one story that maybe all the teams will go to Arizona. There's one story, some teams will go to Florida, some in Arizona. Now there's a story, well, maybe some in Arizona, some in Florida, and some in Texas. And it goes, every time I hear whatever story, I say, yeah, that's doable. That's, somebody get me a ticket. Let's get down there. I'm ready. And can you do a game without a crowd? Oh, I can do that. Are you kidding? Who needs a crowd? Just give me some players, a pitcher and a batter and a count, and we'll just give you this. I'm hungry for a game. I'm hungry for the game. Our whole lives, this is when baseball has been played, whether you're a broadcaster or a fan. So I'm missing it big time right now, just as are you, I know.
Yeah, I mean, we've got this big delay, and we're not even on strike. I don't get what's going on. It was odd in 1981. It was horrible in 1994, and this is worse. This is worse. The only good thing of it is that baseball players are not the bad guys. Everybody still is looking upon baseball and baseball players as good guys. So this is the only time we've ever had a work stoppage where that has ever happened. And from our perspective, we're climbing the walls. We don't have a game to do. We don't have a story to tell. We don't have our relationship with our fans that we normally have. And it's been really, really hard. So I do want to say thank you to all the fans who have encouraged us and texted us and emailed us because we're feeding on that right now. We don't have our game. We don't have the roar of the crowd. We don't have the excitement of the ballpark. And we miss that. So for all of you who have written to us and encouraged us, thank you. And we truly appreciate that.
Did anybody just hear my fire alarm go off in the background?
Yeah, is that bad?
Yeah, if this is the last time I ever talk to you guys, it's been fun. Sorry. I think we got it taken care of. Well, I wish we could, we get lots of these. We're already getting questions. I see questions people want to ask about, what do we think about the plans? I wish we could talk a little bit more about it because, John's right. They're all like, I think for all of us, yeah, let's try it. Let's do anything. We're willing to try anything. I did have a chuckle when I first started thinking about games without fans. If that's how we have to get started, so be it. Thinking about Kuip, your stories and John's stories of the old Tiger Stadium when nobody was in the, when they'd have a really small crowd and the broadcast booth was so close to home plate. I was laughing to myself thinking about you guys calling games, playing games there, and as a player listening to the broadcasters say your stat line and the broadcasters John saying whatever you're saying about the players on the field and them hearing you, it made me laugh because I guess we could have a replay of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think if you stood in the batter's box at Tiger Stadium, you literally looked up and you felt like you could touch the broadcast booth because it was hanging down off the second deck. And Ernie Harwell put me in a slump. I'm standing in the batter's box. He's telling me what a horrible month I'm having. Yeah, Kuiper's 2 for his last 19. I had no idea I was 2 for my. But anyway, you could hear everybody so vividly that it's possible that would happen again. And it would be possible for us, if we're in the broadcast booth, to hear what the players are saying on the field. And that would really be odd. It might be interesting, but it would also be very odd too.
Hey, Dave, if you hit that alarm, is that alarm the signal for us to stop talking?
Yeah, it's going to keep going off a lot during the hour we have together.
Okay.
No, I think my son came and gave me the thumbs up. We're going to survive this one.
Good. All right.
All right.
Good.
All right. I remember Tiger Stadium in 1974, my first year doing baseball. We were there for a September makeup doubleheader. It was a Tuesday. So the first game started at, 4:30 in the afternoon. The Tigers were in last place. And there couldn't have been more than 300 or 400 people in the whole ballpark. And it was a big old ballpark. And Gene Tennis was at the plate for Oakland. I was doing the A's games. And he had a foul ball down off his left foot, and he hits the deck, and he's screaming and shouting. And I'm working with Monty Moore on the A's broadcast. And I made some brilliant comment, something to the effect of, well, obviously, Monty, Gino is in a great deal of pain down there. And Gino turns toward the booth. He says, "Oh, I guess I can't hide anything from you. That is so observant on your part." Yes, Monty, we've gotten confirmation now. He is in a good position down there. That's the only part that could ever possibly have happened, and I think,
Yeah,
at least maybe till now. So
Maybe till now. Maybe till now. Well, we'll see. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but I think all of us would love to have games if we can have them. It has been kind of interesting, hasn't it been, to hear some of the ideas about how, if we start a season halfway through, if we have a season that's going to be unusual anyway, are there ideas for ways to maybe experiment with some rule changes, roster changes? I mean, I don't know. To me, this would be the absolute, I heard Ron Darling say something like, make this the baseball Manhattan Project. You just use the year to try everything you've thought about over the last however many years. Use this season as a year to try it all and see if you like it. I don't know. That sounded like a decent idea to me.
Well, I heard we're all going to Korea to get it started.
That was a rumor too. That doesn't seem that likely to me, I have to say.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. There's so many suggestions to make this interesting. Have October be a regular season month and extend the regular season all the way to November 1st. Then, go to a neutral site that has domes, so you don't have to worry about November and weather. And you can take it all the way through Thanksgiving. I mean, think about that, the possibilities. There's a lot of interesting conversation going on right now. And every time I hear anything, like John said, it's like, okay, I'm ready. Get the tickets. Honey, load up the car. Make sure there's gas in it. We're out of here. Let's just start.
Yeah.
Well, I get excited every time. And I know in baseball, though, as I understand it, they're brainstorming. Somebody's got, here's an idea, and then they talk it over. And what are the pros? What are the cons? What would be good about that? What would be not good about that? And when the time comes where somebody says, you've got the green light, you can proceed, you can play, likely with nobody in the stands, is probably the most likely way, wherever it is, then they will have a plan in place because they've been brainstorming it. But I think some of the stories that got out about it were not stories that baseball wanted out, because it's not something that they've decided yet. It's just something that they're talking about. So, but when I hear about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's workable. Whatever they're talking about, I say, oh, they could do that. I'm in. But I'm not really unbiased. I just want there to be a plan and somewhere for us to go broadcast some games and to have baseball again. It's baseball. It's good company. I can't believe how much I miss it right now.
A great example of that is, was it about 10 days ago? It was is it the Dr. Fauci that came on and said, you know what, baseball's doable. And it was like, yes, make him the commissioner. Manfred's out.
Now there's a man who knows what he's talking about.
He does. He's smart. Let's put him in there, for crying out loud. So anyway, but that's what happens. You get a little bit of good news, and it becomes a huge. It's a better day when you get good news. And
yeah.
On that day, I thought it was good news. And since then, he hasn't said a word. And it's really ticked me off.
He does have some other important things to worry about, but
he's the commissioner. Come on.
I do think it's doable. I think, we got all these season ticket holders who we love, who are watching. It would be painful to have games without them, without fans. I mean, it would be, nobody wants that as the ideal scenario, but I think every one of us would like to get things started. And if that means we got to do it in different and strange ways, I think we'd all be in favor of that. My idea personally is to get smarter people than I am to figure out how to, I mean, I even have this thought in the back of my brain that you take like a giant sheet, or, you know, like it would be like a projector screen, but instead you can't build a giant projector screen. So take some giant blank backdrop and put it on each side of the dugouts, and then project a giant, a Zoom call with however many people you can jam into one of these screens of Giants fans, and project them into the ballpark and have them be live and cheering on, you know, their team during the games. And if it's a Giants home game, it's Giants fans. If it's a Diamondbacks home game, it's Diamondbacks fans, whatever. I don't know. I think we could do something fun like that.
What country has the cutouts?
Yeah, they didn't China use robots in the stand? I think they did.
That was a little freaky, actually.
I agree.
But hey, Dave, I like your idea. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be, you can like envision people at home, not just having something to watch, because I think that's part of it. It's like, we all want something live, current. It's fun to watch all these old games and remember good times, but to have real games, a real season going, but also not just to be watching them, but to participate in them, to cook a hot dog at home and open up a beer and cheer when somebody gets a hit, you know, almost like, you know, we're missing going to games and being together, help recreate that too. So,
well, you could have panda hats, and you could have giraffe hats and horse heads and milkmen, just loaded up with everything we've ever had.
every nickname we've ever had.
So we'll have Fauzi as the commissioner, and Dave is the assistant commissioner.
Perfect. Yeah.
We're in.
See,
he's the graphic art designer. Hey, we did find out that Fauzi is a Nationals fan, though.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
That's good. He's a baseball fan, so he's missing it too. That's good.
It's awesome. Good for him.
You guys were in spring training. I know it's a while ago. Farhan made us laugh last week because we got a lot of. I'm seeing the Q&As come in about, you know, let's talk some baseball, and we want to do that. Farhan joked last week that he had to go back and look at his notes to remember, you know, who was playing well and who wasn't. You know, it's been a few weeks now, but you guys were there. I'd just be curious to get your impression of what you were seeing during camp, and you know, whether that means players who stood out to you or whatever it is. You know, what do you remember about being down there in the Cactus League and seeing the Giants?
John,
for me, it was Buster Posey.
It was?
I mean, he looked fantastic. He had his lower body back, and, you know, he wasn't going to talk about it because he says, ask me again in June and see how it fits. You've gone through 2 years of injury. You know, you're just not going to trust it yet. But that was exciting. Joey Bart was exciting.
Joey Bart was having a really good spring, and that's you know, the first time I saw Johnny Cueto, he looked really good, which was exciting. Then the next time he faced the Cubs, it was just 2 days before they called off spring training, and he wasn't as sharp. He got out of a tight spot in the first inning against the Cubs, and then he got a couple of outs in the second inning, and then there were those Cactus League ground balls that just shoot through the infield and just out of this guy's reach, just out of that guy's reach. And the Cubs literally got 3 or 4 of those in a row. They got a little flare into left that fell in, and so on and so forth. And then they finally started hitting some shots, and they ended up getting a big inning, and he didn't even finish the inning, as it turned out. But even that, I think there would have been some things that you would have been happy to see from Johnny Cueto. That's a question I have really from Mike as a former pitcher. Here's Cueto coming back from the Tommy John surgery. I mean, he worked hard, and he looked like he'd taken 10 years off of his body. He looked in such great shape. It was just fabulous to see. And now all of a sudden, here he is gearing up to be the opening day starter, which they had just Gabe Kapler just mentioned. And now the whole thing is shut down. I mean, if you're Johnny Cueto and you don't even know when the season is going to start, or even if it's going to start, when do you ramp up again, or do you keep it going? I mean, if you're in his shoes, how do you keep yourself ready to go? Because if we do get started, they're not going to have a full 5-6 weeks for a pitcher for spring training again. It's going to be much shorter time to get ready.
Well, I think the guys who are injured, I think it's harder on them because they didn't play all last year, really. I mean, Johnny came back in September, had a couple starts. But one of the fun things for all of us to do in the offseason has been to follow his Instagram. And his Instagrams are always doing his workouts and doing workouts with his son. And he's doing incredible things. And he looked incredible when we saw him. And I think it is a letdown. It's a mental letdown when they say go home. You know, they're shutting down spring training. So all winter long, we watched him with his Instagrams. We watched him get ready. Then they finally shut it down. And his next Instagram, there was a table in his backyard patio, and there was a glass of tequila there with a cigar. And that was how he handled it. So bottom line is, you know what? You mentally take it off, but you back off. You don't get on the mound. You just go back to playing long toss and keeping it stretched out. And that's all. That's what they're going to do, because they all know when this thing convenes, like they did in previous years when they had layoffs, the spring training was cut short. You didn't have 5 weeks. You had 2 or 2.5. And if it, that's a distinct possibility that they may do the same thing this year when they get back together. So it's up to the players to do the extra work. It's hard, it's tedious, it's boring, but they absolutely have to push themselves right now in anticipation that this season at some point in the next month or so has a chance to come back. And that's how you've got to push yourself now.
Don't you think it is different? I mean, just the change in technology, the fact that we have this, that the four of us are doing tonight. I mean, all those players, I think literally every single day are checking in with trainers and strength coaches and the Giants hitting coaches or pitching coaches. I mean, I think almost every single day there's some kind of check-in with every player and supervising workouts. And it seems to me that for something like this, that would be a big advantage to, I mean, I guess in other situations you didn't have to be separated, but considering everybody had to go home, the fact that you can stay connected and not just over the phone, but visually, I don't know. I would think the players are getting a lot of good work done.
Yeah, I guess it's only a disadvantage if you're the one guy that's not doing anything and sitting on the couch and eating burritos. I guess that's the only disadvantage to this. But it's smart for every organization to take advantage of what we're taking advantage of right now. Get a chance to see what each guy looks like. Get a chance to hear what each guy sounds like. And, you can't force these guys to work out, but ball players are ball players. They want to work out. They don't want to sit around. They want to do something. And I know parks are closed and it's hard to do it, but you can figure out a way to do it. Even if you have to play catch with your wife, you can figure out how to do it. And I'm sure each and every guy that gives a rat's ass is doing something to make sure that when this thing starts, that they're going to be pretty close to being ready.
The other thing too, Dave, you made a point with all the ability to communicate and be in contact with your teammates. You're also being in contact with your coaching staff. And that's something that the Giants and every big league team is doing. Coaching staffs are staying on guys. They're monitoring their guys. Their pitching coaches are talking to their pitchers. They have a constant dialogue as to where they are. And the other thing too, like with Dave Greshner, the Giants director of training, he's doing the same thing physically. He's finding out what these guys are doing. They have prescribed workouts that they're being told that they have to do. And to their credit, they're doing them. And it's really tough because you don't have an end date. It's just open-ended. You don't know when. You just anticipate and hope that there's going to be a day when they say, okay, you got 3 days to get to camp. And I really believe, because of all the communication that the coaches and the manager and the trainers are having with these guys, they're going to be in condition to get it going, and they'll be back quickly once spring training starts to when the actual games start.
Yeah. I mean, and you mentioned the coaches. I mean, obviously there's a lot of new faces that I'm staring at the headshot sheet every other day just to try to figure out who's who. But I mean, I do get the sense, you guys were there, that there was like this buy-in from Giants players about doing things a little bit differently and having some new voices around and listening to some new thoughts about how to get better, and not just the young guys, but the veterans too, that they were not cynical at all about it, not sarcastic at all about it, that they were thrilled that there seems to be an enthusiasm to try to make everybody better.
Well, the one thing that I think we found out, because John and I got there first, was they're so busy. They were hard to get them to stop the first couple of days that we got there, to figure out, one, what do they do? What do they look like? Where are they as far as they be in the dugout, or are they not in the dugout? Are they in the batting? So that was the hardest part for us, was to nail them down. And we really didn't get a chance to nail them down a lot. We got a few opportunities. And that's why when spring training got cut short, it really kept us from getting to know these guys a lot better. And, we will obviously get to know these guys and get to know exactly what their responsibilities are. But there's a lot of them. And we would like to be able to get to know them. And I'm sure eventually we will.
I mean, I went into the coach's room the day before the first game and then the day of the first game, trying to meet them and see them. And there's usually only a couple of them there. I mean, these guys were always doing stuff, always working with people. But the other part was, even with the guys who were in their coach's locker room, I needed them to stand beneath their locker, beneath their nameplate. So I didn't have to keep saying, and you are, and what do you do again? But I do remember going out to batting practice at Scottsdale Stadium, and we didn't have it the first game. Remember that first game? The whole Cactus League got rained out that day.
Right.
But the Giants set their game back 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and said, we're going to start it then. And the field was ready to go. The groundskeepers did a great job. And we played that ball game when everybody else got rained out. So it was kind of amazing. But there was no BP on the field for us to watch. The first time we were there and had the batting practice on the field, where we could go to the batting cage and talk to people and whatnot, it was very interesting because not just the batting practice pitcher on the mound behind the screen that you're used to seeing, but there was a pitching machine out there. And I asked one of the hitting instructors, Dustin Lind, who was there. I introduced myself and met him and said, and what do you do? And so, but he explained to me, I said, what's that pitching machine out there for? He said, well, we're facing Dallas Keuchel today. And we've set that machine to kind of replicate the arm slot of Dallas Keuchel coming from that side and at that angle, which you can't even do that, even if you have a left-handed reliever per se. But it's not for everyone, and it's not mandatory. But Brandon Bell was in there, and he took some pitches and took some swings against the batting practice pitcher. John, our guy John, has been here for years. He was there throwing batting practice like he does. And then Bell said, oh, give me the machine now. And then he took a few swings against the machine, which was not just replicating Dallas Keuchel's arm slot and whatnot, but set to throw similar kind of stuff to what Dallas Keuchel was going to throw. And so this was the idea for guys to try it out. The veteran Crawford was down there to try it out, and nobody was being made to do it. It wasn't mandatory, but I think the guys wanted to try. They wanted to see if that made them better prepared for that ball game or not. And I certainly could see the whole point of it. And I know you were down there too, Kuiper. It was pretty fascinating just to watch it.
Well, it was great when Mike came down about, 10 days after that. And he, so he's walking to the batting cage, and I said, hey, Mike, wait till you see what's going on back here with batting practice. And I could see, look, I've known Mike a long time. I can see when he's very skeptical as to what are they doing out there? That's not making any sense to me. And then we had the same conversation that you had. And explained to us perfectly that I don't remember who the Giants were facing that day, some lefty from Seattle that had a really good breaking ball. And every hitter had a chance to see what this breaking ball looked like. And after it was explained to us, two old school guys that really, need to be convinced to buy into this stuff, Mike, we were in. We were totally in.
We were absolutely. And Dustin Lind was telling us the story. Well, we're watching this machine. And look, we've been around this game forever. We've seen pitching machines. We hit off pitching machines. We have never seen a pitching machine like this, because the pitch that day that this lefty from Seattle was throwing was a quick slider. It was a hard slider and a high 80s slider with a little break on it. And it was quick at the end. And these guys, Yastrzemski, Belt, they're all getting in there and they want to see it. They want 3 from John Yandel, give me 2 from the pitching machine. And the pitching machine cranks it up and whoop, this little tight slider. I've never seen a pitch like that. And Dustin Lind goes, we can go high 3/4, sidearm, high sidearm, and we can throw curveballs. We can throw left-handed sinkers. I've never even heard of that. They can do it from the right side. Everything you can do from the left side, you can do from the right side. So the movement you're going to see that day from that guy's specialty pitch, whether he's a left-hander, whatever his slot is, you're going to get a chance to see it from the pitching machine. So I asked Dustin Lind, well, what do you mean? I mean, he goes, we're taking this machine on the road with us. It's going to be on the infield in Dodger Stadium on opening day. And he says, my job as assistant hitting coach, when the game is going on, I'm going to be in the batting cage behind the dugout. Now we get to the 9th inning and say, Alex Dickerson is going to pinch hit. And he knows he's going to face Kenley Jansen. They're going to be able to throw a 92-mile-an-hour flat cut, the same type of movement they're going to see off of Kenley Jansen. That makes way too much sense. That's something we've never heard of. And that's just one thing that this young coaching staff has brought into this camp. And you think about it, there's a lot of age in this camp. Longoria, Crawford, Belt, Posey, Samardzija, Cueto, they all signed off on it. They all bought into it. So one of the most intriguing stories with our camp were the new coaches. And granted, we haven't met them all. We haven't found out all that they do. We will find this out. But the little that we found out was intriguing and it was very cool.
Yep. Well, if I get kicked off the charter now, you'll know what's sitting next to John. It'll be the pitching machine. Sorry, Dave.
I hear that machine also, Dave, can talk just like you and laugh at my stories. And, that
boy.
could happen.
Well, look, I mean, that kind of stuff is fascinating to me. Not to go off on a tangent, but I think the revolution in baseball the last 5 years or whatever, however long you want to take it back, there's an idea out there that the revolution is stats, like how we look at stats and stats for players and how players, and maybe that's happened to a certain degree, but to me, the revolution in baseball is how players are getting better and using technology to get better. And there's so many examples, the examples that roll through the Dodgers organization from a few years ago, from Justin Turner to Chris Taylor. You hear these guys overhaul their swing, use high-speed cameras to do it, and then have immediate success and take off from there. But there are tons of examples like that. And to me, that's where the revolution in baseball has happened. It hasn't happened as much as people say it has on the analysis side. It's happened more on the players have seen the results and are buying in on the fact that if I use these high-speed cameras and different ways of looking at a swing, looking at a pitch grip, creating a new pitch, I can make myself better, even if I've been in the big leagues for 10 years already. And I find that really interesting. And I think, now it's hard to deny that stuff works, and Giants players are not dummies. They know it works.
Well, I think the best way to look at it, Dave, is you reach a certain point age-wise when you're a major leaguer and you start to see, look, I'm in decline. Now, what can I do to slow this decline down? It used to be that when Mike and I played, you found a Nautilus machine And then after you worked out for about an hour, you tricked yourself into thinking, this is it, man. I'm good to go now. I still got it, right? And now you take ground balls and you realize you ain't got it anymore, right? Well, I think now with this technology, you have a chance to slow down the decline when it's going to happen. Some guys it happens at 30, some guys it happens at 34. But here's an opportunity. If you listen to these people that are doing these tests and have these ideas, you have a chance to slow down the decline. And I think that's what our guys, the Giants guys, have bought into, because everybody wants to slow it down, and they got a chance to do it if they listen.
Kuiper, were there any guys that stood out to you from spring training, your time down there, just individual players that?
Well, I really enjoyed watching Hunter Pence. I mean, other than his energy, I thought he looked like the all-star that he was last year. And I thought Gosman was great. Some of the younger guys we didn't get a chance to see a lot of. I know that Yolmer Sanchez really didn't show a lot swinging the bat, but, he won a Gold Glove last year with the White Sox. I thought, geez, I wonder if he's going to, make the team. And then I realized there's a lot of value in something like that, because he can play a little bit of shortstop. But and if you're going to move around Mauricio Dubon, then you need a guy that can stabilize defensively at second. And I really enjoyed watching him play second base.
Yeah. I mean, Yolmer Sanchez blew my mind. I mean, here's a Gold Glover. He had 252 last year with 7 home runs, and he gets waived.
Yeah.
And then we see him. I mean, he's only like about 5'7", but he's stocky. He's built, and this guy can play. I liked him a lot too. My favorite guy was Tyler Rogers. Thinking about the pitching machine from all the angles. They can't do Tyler Rogers on the pitching machine. They can't throw submarine style. And I love that guy. He became my favorite down there.
Yeah, he pitched good too.
Yeah, I mean, he was, and he pitched well against left-handed hitters, which was kind of a big question about him. And they kind of adjusted the style a little bit, not from where he throws the ball, but what kind of pitch selection he would have to some of these left-handed guys, pitching them up and in, and because they're not really thinking about that. They're not really expecting that. They think it's going to be away. But anyway, he had some real success down there. So, we had him on the air on one of our telecasts, and he's really good on the air. He's very sharp, and so maybe we kind of took advantage of him, because it was kind of a long inning. So we just kept him on for a long time, because he had a lot of good stuff going on out there. But one of the things that was really fun for me, because for the Giants, they have high hopes for what they can accomplish this year, which most people outside of here do not share that optimism about the current ball club. But the real optimism is about laying this foundation for the team to be very good and a contender for many years to come, bringing in more talent, fleshing out the farm system. They've already done that. They've gone from being 28th or 29th ranked for farm system a year ago, and now some of the experts have tabbed them as maybe the 10th best farm system in baseball. But we're seeing some of these real young guys, and we saw them in some of the last games that we did down. In fact, I think, Kruk, when you were down there that weekend, and Kuiper, I think you were there also, we saw Marco Luciano. We saw Alexander Canario in a game. Hunter Bishop, the first-round draft choice last year. This shortstop Wilson, who was the Angels' first-round draft choice last year. Giants had 2 of last year's first-round draft choice that played in the same game. They acquired Wilson from the Angels in the offseason. So that was kind of cool to see those guys. And they were facing, in that particular game, they were facing big league pitchers that you would normally have to be in the big leagues to face, not guys who are just up from A ball or double A late in a spring training game. So anyway, so that was, for me, I would like to have seen a little bit more. We saw Sean Jelly, the what is he, 6'11", and taller since Randy Johnson or whatever, and we saw him, and he threw a lot harder. I didn't realize actually how hard he throws. Maybe not as hard as Randy Johnson, but he was throwing mid-90s fastball, 94, 90, in that area pretty frequently. So anyway, so we saw a lot of things down there that made you just kind of anxious to get it started and to see also to chart those guys' progress through the minors and see how quickly they can get to the big leagues.
You know, the other thing that was pretty cool is you ask the veteran players. You ask a guy like Brandon Crawford or Brandon Belt, have you seen any players coming up that you like? You know, it's not always a conversation that a lot of veterans are willing to have, but there was genuine excitement in the Giants clubhouse. The veterans were impressed with these guys that we're talking about. Elliot Ramos, we love watching this guy. His spring training was cut short because he got hurt, but we saw one at bat where he had a home run where we sat up in our seats going, what did you see? It was amazing. Danny Jimenez.
Yeah.
Danny Jimenez, the Rule 5 guy the Giants got from Toronto. I love that guy. That guy's, I mean, he's free and easy, and the ball gets on you quick. Well, these are some of the guys that the veterans are talking about. And I love that about this camp. The veterans were talking about the talent coming up.
And to back up John's point about the farm system improving really quickly, one thing Farhan talked about last week was the draft. You know, there was some talk that the draft was going to get canceled. And Farhan didn't say this, but I thought that would have really hurt the Giants. The Giants, because Will Smith and Madison Bumgarner signed elsewhere, have extra picks, high picks. And it's supposed to be, you know, I mean, I'm no expert, but it's supposed to be the best draft in a decade, huge amount of talent, deep talent. And the Giants have like 5 of the first 80 picks. It's a chance to get, you know, another big group of really talented young guys in the organization. If the draft had been postponed, I mean, I think the Giants would have been one of the teams that really suffered. And as it stands, the draft is going to go ahead, and at minimum, it's going to go far enough for the Giants to cash in all those extra picks, no matter, even if they cut it off a little short. I mean, to me, for those of us who care about the long-term health of the franchise as much as we do, it's pretty exciting to see the young guys that you all are talking about that were on the field already, and then to think about another wave coming here real soon. That's exciting.
And you have to take advantage of those 5 picks. And,
you do.
And I know that the guys in charge of the draft, and I know they've done all their due diligence, but those are 5 really important picks, because any one of those 5 guys can be a Buster Posey that changes the entire organization, like Buster did in the 10 years that he's been here. So, you know, good luck to them. And I'm glad they're having the draft. Absolutely. This farm system could go from number 10 to number 3 in one draft if everything goes right. It
could. It really could. Well, I promised I'd take some fan questions. We haven't. I mean, I wrote down some stuff that people had submitted ahead of time. There's so many questions here. It's hard for me to. I'm not gonna name people by name just because I can't write that fast and figure out. But there are, there's a whole category of questions about what we've all been doing during the shelter in place. People are curious about if you've picked up any new hobbies, or not to veer away from baseball. We'll talk some more baseball, but anything fun you've been doing during these weeks?
Well, you start, Dave, because we've been watching you cook with young Dave.
Yeah.
How that's going?
John's got his probiotic drink.
Yeah.
Many people commenting on John's facial hair.
Yeah,
very
looks
high
good.
with all positive marks.
Looks good.
Yeah, I have been cooking. You see what I did yesterday? I burned the heck out of my forearm.
Bummer.
Can you blame someone else?
Nope, absolutely not. It was 100% my fault.
Damn.
What is it? Is it a burn you got in the kitchen, or is it a rug burn? Big difference.
No. That's true. Big difference. It's a burn I got in the kitchen. We've been cooking a lot. I mean, it is a little different for me because the kids are going to school during the day. And not that I'm a teacher for them, but I am trying to help them and stay on schedule. They get up in the morning and school starts at like 8:15. They check in and it goes till 3 o'clock. And so we've had a pretty regimented schedule, and it has been good. That, I mean, one silver lining for me is to be around to help with all that stuff has been good.
Well, haven't gotten a call from David. David hasn't called Uncle Duane for any help, so I understand that you might be a better option having graduated from Stanford.
Well, if we all can't help with the fourth grade stuff.
Yeah, well, maybe true. Maybe not.
Yeah,
I've been riding my bike a lot.
You've been riding your bike around city?
Around the city, over the Golden Gate Bridge. I stay close to home, but I bike around, go see the ocean, come back home.
Did you see on Twitter, Kerry Crowley, our beat writer for the Merc?
I didn't see it.
He filmed. It must have been on his iPhone or whatever, but his 2 or 3 hour bike ride through the city of San Francisco. It was fascinating.
Huh.
I guess what was fascinating was you hardly saw any people, which is unusual, obviously, for our city. But anyway, if the next time you do that, I want you to film it for me.
Attach the thing like to your forehead.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Do the miner's hat thing.
Come on, Dave.
Yeah, the Kerry Crowley thing. He went from Ocean Beach through Golden Gate Park. He went down the Embarcadero to the ballpark and then back home. It was fantastic.
It was great.
So Han Yu homeroom.
Yeah, come on, David, you're next.
We'll see.
Well, that's not a firm yes.
So John, tell us about the walks you and Janine have been going on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have a little extra time. So our big event every day is taking a walk. And we live out here on the coast side. And so we generally take a walk along the coast somewhere on one of the trails across the street in your old neighborhood, Kruk, here in Moss Beach. There's a California Avenue goes almost straight uphill like you're in San Francisco. So we cross over Highway 1 and go straight up there because you get a lot of good in a short amount of time going. I don't know, it might be the equivalent of maybe 12 or 13 floors going up that hill. And then we follow a little trail and end up over in Montara. Went past Bruce Jenkins' house over there with Bruce and Martha Jane, who are sheltering in place. And so anyway, we just been exploring a little bit, trying to get some. I had the thing on the app on my phone. As long as you have it with you, it counts your steps and your miles. So I'm looking at that like stats, because we don't have. He's third in the league in home runs and second in the league in RBIs. His OPS right now is number 4 in all of baseball, both leagues. We don't have that right now. And I miss it. So I got my average back up to 11,000 steps so far for the month of April. And that's a little behind where I was while on vacation in January and February. But it's been going up, let me tell you. So I got like 16,000 steps yesterday. And that's above average. That's like a 4-hit game, like a 4 for 5. That's like Kuip's 2 bases loaded triples in the same game at Yankee Stadium kind of a day. So
Thank you.
Hey, so John, when Janine says it's time for a walk, what's your exit velocity going out the front door?
Yeah, pretty slow. But and I got to remember to stretch my calves first and take care of that. And we're more like Buster Posey. We're not the fastest to get out there, but we're built for the long haul, so we can stay out there for a long time.
When you walk by the Jenkins house, I mean, any activity in their backyard, like Jenkins sitting in the lawn chair in his underwear, or anything going on there that you notice?
I haven't seen him yet. I talked to him on the phone and asked him about it, but they've been staying in because that's what the instructions are. So, and when we've walked past there, I haven't seen him yet. So even the person over there, Connie McClintock, that we know in Montara, when we go to her house, because sometimes we like some of the same authors, novels and whatnot. And wait a minute, who's that?
What is that?
Is that Woody?
Hey, boys, can I join in?
Woody, son of a building block.
It's Woody.
What if we say no?
Well, then I got to get right back off, I guess. Don't do that, though. Don't do
Hey, are you talking to us from the shed?
No, I am still downstairs in the basement right now. The shed, I'm not sure the Wi-Fi works out there that well. So
Well, that's a flaw, Woody.
it is. I got to get it fixed. I do have to get it fixed. You know, we're way out here in the sticks, so it's a little different. But
Woody's been sheltering in place for the last 10 years. Like,
hey, those 4 or 5 months that you said, yeah, that's about all I did. Stay at home.
Hey, Woody, the fact that Aurelia and Estes are on the wall, are those your two favorite guys?
They're two of the favorites.
Well, that's a no. As far as I'm concerned, that was a no.
Yeah, what are you running for office or something? Let's go.
They were the
Make a call here.
I could get two of them in the same thing, so that we decided as a family that'd be a good background. So,
well, if you got the girls there, or Carla and Holly and Hope there,
they are here somewhere. They'll jump on.
You got to show them off. Let's go.
Oh yeah, here they come.
We'll say
They're
hi.
gonna say hi.
please say hi.
I got this on my screen though.
Uh-oh,
I
how do
can't
you
get
get
that
that
off.
Hi guys.
Hey,
How are you?
Here comes Hope.
Everybody's got their gear. Well, almost everybody.
Hope, I don't know how to get that off.
Okay.
So, Carla, are you ready for a road trip for him?
Oh gosh.
Oh, there you go.
I have been for about 10 years. When did you retire? Like you have to adjust when they retire, don't you? A little.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's good. He cleans this whole house, so I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a North Carolina fantasy camp coming up or something?
That was a once in a lifetime thing.
I can only
Sure.
get old for that.
Oh gosh, yeah. When we get up in the morning, it's like our knees hurt, our hips hurt, like everything hurts on us. So can you see, Hallie? Okay.
Hey, can you see which one's the tallest now of the girls? Which one do you think now?
Hallie passed me.
Yeah, the one bending
Oh.
down.
No. Hallie passed them all up, the young ones.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just getting her license, so we're all we're going to be all set here in the Rueter household.
Oh my goodness. Woody, you did good. You did
Family's
good.
doing?
We're all doing well. Thank you.
You're all doing good?
Yep.
The kids
Yep.
and the kids and
Yep.
Just
we're doing
missing
good.
baseball.
Missing the yeah.
So, Woody, I got to ask you a question. I mean, for the longest time, you had to handle the winningest left-hander in San Francisco Giant history. And I got to ask you, when Madison Bumgarner was getting close to your record, were you kind of rooting against him?
Hey, I do have a good story though.
Oh no.
This will be Carla. The Giants fans might not like it, but he was going to break it, the year before, obviously. And Carla was like, "Oh my gosh, he is. He's going to break your record early, unless something happens." Well, then
I jinxed it.
Something happened.
Like 2 days later is when he got hurt, and then so then it took him a little while longer. But
But I have a I Heart Mad Bum shirt I wear, so I love him.
yeah, no, I always tell people if anybody was going to break my record, he's always been great to my kids and when we go out there, because when they were smaller, they always wanted to take a picture with Mad Bum, and he would come out of the locker room. And so if anybody was going to break my record, I'm glad it was him. I can handle being the second winningest left-hander for a while.
Carla, did you see that story last year where Mad Bum talked about Allie, his wife, being his throwing partner in the off season?
Oh my gosh. Did I don't know. I don't think so.
What are you getting at, Flem? That Carla could have caught me easy because
Yeah.
Without a glove.
Yeah. I'd have just been like
Barehanded.
threw it right back.
Yeah, it'd have been easy for her to catch.
Gosh.
Hey, now, Woody, you were not known as a great hitter, although you almost always made contact. But outfielders generally played you real shallow and whatnot. But tell the story about, I think it was Levan Hernandez made a bet with you about batting practice, just batting practice. And what was it, like a new Rolex or whatever? And you won the Rolex. Tell that story.
Oh yeah, they always made fun of me. They always made fun of me because even in BP, we always played a pitcher's game. And if you hit the screen on a fly on a line drive, they called it a home run. So I just started trying to do that so my team could win. and I'd never try and hit a normal home run. And Levo kept getting all mad. He's like, come on, try and swing and hit it far. And so finally he goes, you know what, everybody, if Woody hits a home run ever in BP, I'll get him a Rolex. And I'm like, I turn around and I'm like, what? I go, you don't think I can hit? I go, I just try and hit it for the screen because I'm trying to win. So then it didn't take me probably a week or two, and I hit the home run, and next day he had a Rolex in my locker on my chair. So I said, he goes, he said I was sandbagging on him, and I said, well, no. I said, I just was trying to do what I wanted to do, and then you threw a bet in there. So then, then I still got the Rolex. So.
And how many times did you hit a home run at batting practice before that one?
Never, I don't think. Never. I don't think I ever hit one in Candlestick. So.
You sandbagged him. Let's face it, you sandbagged him.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, Woody, I'm looking at your stats here. You had 95 hits in your career. You hit 153, 0 home runs.
Hey, there wasn't a lot of extra base hits either.
But you did have a stolen base. Tell us about that.
I did. Hey, I actually have that. Hey, Kuip, you'll be happy to know that 4 pictures of me getting my only stolen base is right there in the toilet room with you in my shed. So,
with your one home run.
But no, Felipe, I looked at him. We were in Arizona, and they were barely holding me on. And I look over in Felipe, and he's just hanging over the railing there at Arizona, and just gives me the little run like with his finger. And I'm like, oh crap, he's telling me I can steal this base. And so as soon as he lifted, I took off, and they didn't even throw it. And so that was my one stolen base.
Did he get you a Rolex?
I did pinch run a lot. You'll have to, I always know Richie Aurelia, he hates it because Dusty made me go in and pinch run for him one time because he was coming off a hamstring thing. And then Ellis Burks, I got the pinch run for. And I'll never forget, Ellie B told me when I was coming on the field to get him, he just was shaking his head. When I ran by him, he goes, oh no. He goes, come on. He goes, I'm not getting pinch run for by Woody.
Oh, Woody.
There's a lot of good stories. I mean, I could tell stories. I mean, Dusty, I tell the story about one. I came off the field and found $20 on the field because it was the dog days of summer day. And it happened, they hit the last out of the top of the first to JT, so I had to go cover. And I could see it out of the corner of my eye. So after I got the third out at first base, when I'm running back in, I reached down to scoop it up, and Dusty's like, hey, what'd you just pick up on the field? And I said, here you go, $20. And he goes, what the heck?
You mean like one of the people parading their dogs before the game had dropped a $20 bill?
Yeah, they dropped a $20 bill, I guess. And so Dusty was like, man, he goes, you're lucky. He goes, but now I don't know if Dusty thinks it was all luck. I mean, he still thought some of those pools that I had, I think he thought I rigged them somehow, but I did.
You did?
Come on, Woody.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Come on, Woody.
Oh,
Hey,
no.
do you remember I think I got the story right. Did we not have a player by the name of Tucker, Michael Tucker?
Oh,
Yeah, Michael Tucker.
Was it Michael?
Yes.
Michael Tucker.
Did you not beat him?
Atlanta.
Did you not beat him in one of those Papa Shots game at the ESPN zone in Denver?
Oh, in Denver. Oh, yeah. Everybody thought they could beat me shooting. They didn't think I could shoot a basketball. And I had them all over there. I think Barry might have came over there too one of the nights because I used to go down there all the time and shoot. And Dunston was there. And so, yeah, they didn't think I could shoot. They didn't think I could play basketball. But
did you ever lose?
Oh, I could shoot on those little Papa Shots.
So you never lost?
No. Or in Dusty, I don't know if you remember in Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Remember they had the basketball goal in the visitors clubhouse?
Yeah.
The little one. And I used to stand there and shoot. And Dusty made him ban me from shooting it because he said, your arm's going to get so tired because I kept making them in a row. And Dusty finally made me quit. He took the ball.
Hey, it's 7:00, Woody. You know what that means in San Francisco? Well, we have a tradition, and we honor our healthcare workers. So we encourage all Giants fans and all of us who are on this Zoom conversation to do a little howling. So give me your best howl here at the count of 3. 1, 2,
All right.
3.
You can tell he's been practicing that.
I was ready. Hey, didn't you guys do that for the dog? Didn't you howl the one time? I got a calendar of you guys looking like that.
The two of them did, yeah.
Yeah, we did. That was with the 2 pups. We had 2 wiener dogs, and they started barking, and that was it. Kuiper started barking, and I started barking, and away we went.
Yeah. Great. Made for a good picture. Made for a good picture.
Doesn't take much to get us to howl, I got to tell you.
Kite, people are asking about the bobbleheads behind you because you showed one of them for a second. So I'm getting all these Q&A questions about your bobbleheads.
You know what? All right, because I know he's watching. Vin Scully. Really
of course he's watching. Yeah,
I know Vinny's watching.
Yeah, he's watching. No question.
Here's one of John. I need to I can't find the one I wanted to find was the one of Larry. Because we got to make sure Larry's happy, but none that are just Frank Robinson's up there, Mike's up there. I think I got one of my own. John's up there. Dave, your bobble cork is back here.
That's all I got.
I got that.
Yeah. And of course we got Woody's.
Look, Woody's got it.
Yes. So anyway, you know what? It's just to fill up the bookshelf. So, yeah. But anyway, I'm glad people are interested.
Mike's got a musical instrument. They're asking about that.
1916 A-style mandolin, the Gibson. And it keeps you busy. And what else I have? Ukulele. So I play those like every day. And then over here, I got a Telecaster. I'll plug in and play a few licks. They've got this new website that you can go on there. You take lessons, and you can do Carlos Santana or Jimi Hendrix, and it's extremely cool. And so I've been doing a lot of that while we have been sequestered, which I kind of do that every day. There's your Larry bobblehead.
We got Larry.
But are you negotiating this year, Kuiper?
No. This is for all of us. This isn't just for me.
I need one of those. I'm gonna have to call Larry and get one of those. I don't have that in the shed.
He signed it too, Woody.
I'm gonna have to get that.
You need one.
Yeah. So anyway, what else, Dave?
Woody, you been watching any of these old Giants games that have been showing during the last few weeks?
The girls actually told me the one where we lost to Florida was on that I pitched.
What a great memory that is.
Yeah.
The game 4. When I gave up the home run to Pudge Rodriguez right out of the gate and made it 2-0. But so I did watch some of that after the first inning. I knew what was coming, so I don't like seeing myself give up home runs. I did get a bunt. I did get a bunt hit in that game though, so I wanted to see that again.
Was that what game 4? Was that the disaster in right field?
Yeah, that's when we had it won, and then that made it. Or no, it was game 3. It was game 3.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Because then they went up 2-1, and then they beat us the next day when JT got thrown out at the plate.
Right.
It was the best of 5 series.
Yeah.
Hey, Woody, I just checked out your stats. I just found another way that I could fall in love with you.
Oh, geez.
You gave up more home runs than I did.
Yes. All right.
Makes me want to howl. You gave up 220. I gave up 196.
Hey, that's okay because I think Barry hit about 225 for me, so I still came out ahead.
Hey, Woody, when the Giants acquired a hitter, did you always check to see how you did against that guy before he walked in the clubhouse?
Yeah, most of the time. And sometimes I probably already knew, but I did check. I knew when we got Dunston and ED, I knew that they didn't hit me very well, so I was ready for them when they came in. And Sean still laughs to this day. I think he hit a home run the first time I ever faced him in Chicago, and then that was it. He went like 1 for 19 in his career. So I think they kept putting him in the lineup because they'd see that home run, he said, and I don't think he got another hit.
But you would never remind him of that, ever.
Oh, gosh, no, not even today when I see him. I would never bring that up. You know me, I'm not like that.
No.
Only 2 or 3 times a day. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I wouldn't egg him on.
But Woody, seriously, my first year with the Giants was 97, which was a great year. The Giants defied all the experts and won the division title. But you guys came home. I think you had a 4-game losing streak, and you had 2 games with the Dodgers, and we're down by 2 games with 11 to play, 9 to play. So you really needed to win those games. Now it seems to me you pitched game 1. Am I right on that?
Yes.
Yeah. And Barry hit a home run right away with a Matterboard, and that's the only offense you got that day. I mean, was that at the top of the list for great games you pitched for the Giants? Because it was huge.
Oh, that's definitely. I still tell people, even to this day. I mean, the World Series was big, obviously, in 2002, but I mean, just being that the first year and getting introduced to the Giants-Dodgers rivalry. I mean, there was like 60,000 people at Candlestick that night, all the way around in the upper deck and chanting "Beat LA," and we knew we kind of had to win, both games to get back in it. We didn't want to split, and obviously we didn't want to lose both of them. But I mean, an interesting story is I probably shouldn't tell this either, but we were in Atlanta right before we're coming home. But on that Monday night, I'm a big Cowboy fan too. So I ran back up in probably the 5th inning of our game to see the Cowboy, just the score. Well, I run by, turn the TV just to check it. Well, about that time, just so happens, Dickie Pohl, who was our pitching coach then, he was up there getting something. He saw me, and he yelled at me. He said, "Hey, get back down! You're not watching." And he was mad. And so I didn't talk to him basically. So the day I'm going to go pitch my game against LA, and we're walking off the field after that game was over, and he's going to tell me, "Hey, good job," or whatever, give me a handshake. First thing I said was, I was so nervous. I was like, "Dickie, does that make up for me watching the Cowboy game? You caught me." And he goes, "I'll think about it." But he goes, "That's a good start." but no, that game, I mean, Barry did the pirouette. He hit the home run off Chan-Ho Park, did the pirouette. And then Mondesi, I think, hit a home run off of me and made it 2-1. And the things I remember is, I mean, that might have been one of the most excited times of my pitching career. I know I still have that on video where Kuiper says, "Easy, Woody," when I'm running off the mound after striking out. I think it was Caros. In one of the spots, I pumped my fist and yelled. And so it was a big game for me. And then I remember Roberto coming in, and he's throwing about 100 and 101 up on the board and finished off the last 2 innings and kind of got us going into the Brian Johnson game, and we ended up winning the division.
Yeah.
Could you remember how loud it was at Candlestick compared to Pac-Bell Park?
Oh, I mean, like I said, that night, I mean, it was like, I mean, we didn't get obviously 60,000 people there all the time where they'd be up all the way around the upper deck. But I mean, when it was like that, I mean, it was intimidating even coming out. We always had to come out of the tunnel down there, down the right field line. And I remember as soon as I walked out, I mean, you could just kind of feel it was a different electricity in the air. And and with all the fans, it took me like a minute kind of to look around and say, okay, here, this is the Dodger Giant rivalry. And then after that, kind of settle down and get back into it. But, like I said, that game, I always point to that game, especially because I think our 97 team kind of helped lay the groundwork for the success that the Giants, the organization, has had, because all of us came together and nobody thought we were going to do anything. And I think everybody on that team kind of had something to prove, maybe except Barry. I mean, Barry was kind of the established guy, and we all came together, and then we were able to stick together for a good 7-8 years, that the core group, and they were a great group of guys to be with. But that 97 team, when you're not expected to win, sometimes it's a little sweeter than when everybody thinks you're going to win.
Well, it was vindication for Brian Sabian too, because he made the big trade, trading Matt Williams for, 3 guys that really contributed. Didn't Bonds hit a home run the next day as well against Candiotti?
Yeah, I think because we jumped out early, I think the next day, and then they came back and then tied it or something. And then obviously, Shooter back, Rod got us out of the big jam, and then Brian Johnson hit the walk-off. And so as loud as it was the night before, I mean, it might have been louder the next day when BJ hit that home run and tied up the West.
Yeah.
The Giants were ahead 5-1 in that second game, and the Dodgers came back to tie it. And then the wind was blowing in from left, and balls were getting knocked down. I don't know, Karras and a couple of guys, somebody from the Giants, hit balls to left, and you thought, well, you can't get it out now the way that wind's blowing in. And then Johnson, boom, he turned it around. So
yeah, he cut the wind, and he had another big one. I mean, people kind of forget, because I think he hit one in Colorado, like, either the next series or 2 series later that won us a game in Colorado too, that kind of kept the heat or kept our 1 game or 2 game lead on the Dodgers against the Rockies also.
He was huge down the stretch for the Giants. He had a lot of home runs down the stretch.
He did.
Yeah. I mean, and he kind of turned into my guy. I mean, I think the first game he caught was in St. Louis, Dusty, going back to Carla saying that she could catch me, playing catch out here. Anytime we'd have a guy or a rookie, I know Dusty would always come up to me and say, hey, I'm going to catch this guy tomorrow. Are you okay throwing to him? And I think that was because I didn't throw too nasty of stuff. I mean, it was almost like anybody could catch me. So we're going to put them back there. And, but yeah, I think Brian, his first game was, he caught me in St. Louis, and I think we did great together that game. And, he caught me from there on out.
Great memories. What a great season that was.
It was a great run.
What a cool thing to have you stop by, Woody. We're it's 7:15 almost. We gotta wrap up.
Hey, anytime you want to have me. I miss you guys. I
think Giants fans know, because we show you when you come to the ballpark in St. Louis, but it's not just old memories. You watch Giants games all the time.
Oh yeah, I'm getting older, so it's harder for me to stay up. But no, I make it. I'm still a big Giant fan. Still follow them. My family's still big Giants fans, and so yeah, we're definitely missing getting our fix of baseball too. And we're eager to get back out to San Francisco. We always enjoy coming out there. So hopefully we get to see you guys soon.
Well, bring the roller with you.
Hey, and it won't be a fake one. Like I think I gave Sonny a fake Rolex that year, and he thought it was real for about.
So cruel.
What a great guy that Woody is.
Nice going, Woody.
Way to go, Woody.
Thanks, guys.
I'll be doing a football game somewhere, and my phone will buzz in the commercial break or something. I'll look down, and it'll say, Woody, nice tie, Flem.
Just don't do my Carolina boys anymore. I think you jinxed them this year. Don't do my Carolina boys.
I don't blame that on me. What are you talking about? Really good to see you.
All right.
Way to go, Woody.
Before we all go, I just wanted to remind, because there are probably a lot of people, Giants fans, who came on after the first couple minutes. Amanda Kershaw was there to tell everybody that, you know, if you're nervous, worried, curious, concerned about season tickets, your policy, Giants have a plan in place, and they're just waiting for the green light to be able to tell everybody about it. So when Major League Baseball gives them the go ahead, in the meantime, if you want to call your ticket rep and talk, you can do that. Giants are going to take care of you. I think we all know that. Do you all, each of you want to say a goodbye or a final word before we sign off?
I thought you were going to do that for us, Dave.
Let's do it again. How about that?
We'll do it again. We miss our Giants fans. We can't wait for baseball to be here, for another Giants season to be here. Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us. We will do it again. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. And next time, I promise I'll get to more of your questions. Sorry, I did a terrible job of asking all the questions. Good bobblehead. Okay. That's for all of us. See ya. Bye, everybody. Thanks.